Alara Sterling had always felt like a supporting character in her own life. Her older sister, Serafina, was the star, the dazzling sun around which their family revolved. Alara, on the other hand, was the quiet moon, always there, always reliable, yet rarely the center of attention. They grew up in the idyllic, if somewhat isolated, town of Willow Creek, nestled beside the whispering pines of the redwood forests of Northern California. Their parents, Margaret and George Sterling, were kind, yes, but their love always seemed to tilt ever so slightly towards Serafina. Serafina was a whirlwind of charisma, beauty, and, let's be honest, a good deal of entitlement. Alara, with her love for books, her quiet artistic pursuits, and her steadfast nature, was often overlooked, her accomplishments deemed not as important. Serafina, though, could do no wrong in their parents' eyes. The story really took a turn the day Alara announced her engagement to Liam, a kind and incredibly supportive man who worked as a wildlife photographer. They had found a venue that had been a dream of Alara's since she was little, the Whispering Pines Ranch, a rustic yet elegant space on the edge of the redwood forest, perfect for their celebration. It took her 2 long years to secure it, as it was always in high demand. It was to be a small, intimate wedding filled with love, laughter, and the scent of pine. A few weeks after the engagement announcement, the Sterlings hosted their annual summer barbecue. It was a beautiful, sunny afternoon when Serafina chose to drop her own bombshell. She was pregnant. The family erupted in cheers and congratulations. Amidst the joyful chaos, Serafina pulled Alara aside, her eyes glittering with an almost manic kind of glee. "Alara, sweetie, I have a little favor to ask. The Whispering Pines Ranch is absolutely gorgeous. And with the baby on the way, I simply can't handle the stress of planning a wedding, especially not with my career. Would you mind awfully if I took it for my wedding? You're not getting married until next spring, and we be next fall, which would be perfect." Alara was stunned. Her mouth dropped open, and she felt the heat rise in her cheeks. "Serafina, that's my wedding venue. Liam and we've had it booked for months." Serafina simply smiled sweetly as the entire extended family went silent. "Oh, come on, Alara. It's just a venue. You do this for your family, right? Family comes first." Everyone was silent, waiting for her answer. Alara, feeling the weight of expectation, the subtle pressure she always felt from her parents, wanted to say yes, to play the peacemaker. But something inside her snapped. "No, Serafina. I'm not giving you my venue. I love you, but it's not up for grabs." Serafina's smile vanished. Her face contorted into a mask of hurt and indignation. Tears welled up in her eyes as she declared, "You're so selfish, Alara. You always get what you want." With that dramatic pronouncement, she stormed off into the house. Grandma Agnes, ever the traditionalist, told Alara, "You shouldn't be so stubborn, dear. Serafina is pregnant. She needs it more than you." Margaret, her mother, chimed in, "Alara, you waited 2 years to secure that venue. A few months longer won't hurt. When has Serafina ever asked you for something?" George, her father, simply shook his head at his daughter's insensitivity. Liam, who had remained quiet until now, could take no more. His face was hard with anger as he stood up and said, "This is ridiculous. This is her wedding, her choice." He pulled Alara away from the rest of the family and into their car, his patience fraying. "They're impossible," he grumbled as they drove away, leaving the barbecue behind. The following days were a nightmare. Serafina called Alara, sobbing, claiming that she was ruining her life. Her fiancé, a gentle man named Daniel, tried to apologize to Alara, admitting that he had thought it was a bad idea. He told her, with frustration in his voice, that Serafina was blaming Alara for the potential damage to their relationship. George sent Alara a stream of passive-aggressive texts, asking if she was happy now that her sister was in tears. Margaret called Liam's parents to intervene, claiming that Serafina needed to be prioritized because of her pregnancy. Liam's father promptly hung up, telling her, "You're all going to lose my daughter-in-law if you continue with this ridiculous behavior." Alara felt as if her whole world was collapsing around her. She and Liam decided to remove Serafina from her wedding party and replaced her with Alara's best friend from childhood, Chloe. They considered disinviting the entire Sterling family to their wedding, unsure if the stress was worth it. In the midst of this chaos, Alara decided that she'd had enough. She sat down and wrote an email to her sister. It was a cathartic exercise, a painful but necessary release. "I'm sorry you perceive me as unfair, but I have spent my life bending to your will, Serafina. I have been your doormat, your servant. You have always been my main priority, despite you rarely thinking of me. I remember how you had me share every single birthday since you always threw a tantrum if I got the attention. I also remember you crying until I filled out your job applications, and Mom actually helped you do that instead of teaching you responsibility. But the worst was my graduation. You said it wasn't fair that I was getting the spotlight, so you wore the most expensive dress Mom and Dad could buy you, made yourself a cake, and took the focus off of me. I am done. I admit that I have spoiled you, but no longer. If you wish to get married so badly before the baby is born, you should look at other hotels, because I will not give you the thing that I have spent 2 years and many tears planning. If you want to ruin our relationship over this, then go ahead, because I am going to sleep sound and safe knowing that it wasn't my fault." Serafina only responded, "Wow, you must love me so much," and then blocked Alara. She unblocked her a few days later, sending a message from a wedding planner. "Hello, dear, I got the message from your mother and we will proceed with the rebooking. Please come by my parents' office tomorrow so we can sign the new contract." Alara contacted her wedding planner, who was horrified by the situation. They made sure to secure all her bookings and also hired extra security for the wedding day. Alara's older brother, Alex, who had moved away years ago, called her and revealed that his departure had been partly due to the way their parents treated them. He believed Alara's version of the events without question. Over the next few weeks, Serafina began a campaign of passive-aggressive remarks on social media, claiming that Alara had made her depressed. Alara blocked her and her friends after the egging incident. After not talking to her parents for several days, they asked if they could meet at Alara and Liam's apartment. The meeting was tense. After some awkward small talk, her father asked why she had canceled the caterers, which was not true. Liam replied they just didn't want anything they could hold over their heads. The meeting devolved into a screaming match, her parents reiterating her sister's right to their wedding venue due to her pregnancy. Alara finally pulled out a list of all the times her sister had been prioritized over her. Her mother said she hated them, to which Alara replied she could ask them the same thing. Ultimately, Alara demanded that the parents go to family counseling and apologize, or they would not be invited to the wedding. Her parents refused to acknowledge their mistakes, claiming that Alara was responsible for her sister's depression and her failing relationship. Alara eventually had to block them and change her phone number. The weeks leading up to the wedding were difficult. But on the day of the wedding, surrounded by her friends and her chosen family, she felt a profound sense of peace. Then Serafina arrived, screaming obscenities. She attempted to throw mud on Alara's wedding dress, but Chloe, Alara's maid of honor, pushed her into a patch of flowers. Security removed her, and the rest of the day was perfect. Alara and Liam shared their vows, surrounded by loved ones. They cried, they laughed, and finally had their first dance. They went on a lovely honeymoon, and when they returned, Alara got a new job at a university and moved out of town. This was also when she discovered she was pregnant. Through a mutual friend, she learned that Serafina had moved back in with her parents and was behaving like a child. Years later, Alara looked back on this period of her life with a mix of sadness and gratitude. She understood now that family isn't defined by blood ties, but by the love and respect you receive and give. She realized that she deserved to be her main character. While the events of her wedding had caused her great pain, they had also shown her the unwavering love and support she could always count on, and gave her the courage to create the family she always deserved. True family isn't about obligation, favoritism, or blind loyalty. It's about mutual respect, support, and genuine love. Sometimes, choosing your own peace and well-being, even if it means stepping away from toxic relationships, is the bravest thing you can do. Ultimately, Your happiness shouldn't be at the mercy of someone else's need for control and attention. It's okay to choose yourself first.